Hi, guys. I'm Coach Mimi here with you in the Good Guy Corner. This is already episode 25. That's a pretty cool milestone. So, thank you for your support and being here with me. After the first few episodes, I got some feedback that I should tell more stories here. And it made me notice a belief that I had about myself. And this belief is that I am not a good storyteller. Now, this belief has been with me for a long, long time, even though I hadn't really been aware of it until I got this feedback and started getting curious about why I hadn't told more stories. So here's what I learned about myself as I've been paying attention to this. This belief comes from a time when I was about 7 years old and I was telling my grandpa a story. Now, I don't remember what the story was, something probably that seemed exciting to a 7 year old, something probably about school or having to do with my sisters or something. But whatever it was, I must have gone on and on about it for too long. And my grandpa simply said, "You're taking too long." Now, as I look back at it now, I believe that he was probably trying to help me when he said, "You're taking too long." And I could have had all kinds of different thoughts about what he said. But the main one that I've been believing for decades now is I am not good at telling stories. Now, all of us likely have hundreds of examples like this, where someone in our life has said something to us, and then we came up with a belief about ourselves. And what's more, we tend to make these beliefs be black and white truths, right? I was believing it's simply true that I'm not a good storyteller. And that kept me from telling stories. Now, for another example, let's look at a client that I will call John, because I always call my client John. So, John was in a Boy Scout troop when he was a teenager. And one time he was told by one of his scout leaders, "John, you're really good at starting things, but you never finish them." Now, John's brain latched onto that. And whenever he was doing a task that was no longer fun or exciting, he would just think, "Oh, here I go again. I start things, but I don't finish them." And then he would quit that task. And quitting the task would then reinforce that belief and give him even more evidence that it was true. So, what I want to show you here is that these sentences in our minds start out as a thought, right? So, with John, I start things and I don't finish them. That was the thought. And then we practice the thought by repeating it over and over, lots of different times, lots of different examples, right? And then when we practice it, we strengthen it until it becomes a belief. And then as we continue to believe it and find more evidence for it, we end up strengthening it into part of our identity, what we believe about ourselves. Right. So for decades now, John has been holding as part of his identity, I'm a person who just doesn't finish things. So why even start? And this has kept him from accomplishing some dreams of his. He says things like, "Well, yeah, I'd really love to put my business idea into reality. But after all, I start things and I never finish it. That's just who I am." Now, that's going to keep him from starting his business, right? And putting that into reality and starting any other ideas that he has. So, this is such a great example of this common pattern. So, I want you to identify in your life, where can you see this happening for you? What are some of the sentences that you've collected somewhere along your life, somewhere along your journey, and then you've been practicing them until they are now something that you believe is just true about you? So, thoughts, sentences like this, when we believe them, they have a powerful effect on our lives and directly lead to the results that we create. So, that's what I want to leave with you today. Four parts here. One, pay attention to what you are believing about yourself that is most likely not a truth, right? Number two, recognize that it is not a black and white reality. Number three, find some evidence that it's not true. And number 4, decide on purpose what you want to believe about yourself. Now, I'm giving you this assignment, but I also did it myself in this example, right? 1, I noticed that I was believing I'm not a good storyteller. Number 2, I recognized that this is not a black and white truth, as if there's some measuring stick that I'm being measured against. That, yep, nope, not a good storyteller, right? Number 3, I found some evidence that sometimes I do tell a good story, and some evidence that at times people have liked my stories. And number 4, I'm choosing to believe that I'm an okay storyteller and I'm getting better all the time. Now, that's going to have me becoming a better storyteller than telling myself I'm just not a good storyteller, right? Okay, so now I want you to go try it for yourself. Do these 4 steps. Notice, where does this apply in your life? Get some power back about this, all right? And I'm Coach Mimi, and I'll be here next time in the Good Guy Corner.